Good evening, televiewers of M4 Television. Thanks for joining us for another edition of your program Games of Throne on M4 TV here in Yaoundé. Of course, today we'll be digesting two mature topics that concerns, of course, the inauguration of President Paul Biya addressing the nation. This, of course, has been creating a lot of talks across the country as Cameroonians are asking, is this a particular information or address to the nation? Is it timely? Of course, these are one of the topics that we'll be treating in the course of this program. We'll be proceeding on the next topic on this very menu, which of course is also talking about this very speech. But of course, we're going to direct our intention or attention towards the post-electoral tension in Cameroon. What we'll be asking our panelists this very evening is where are the promoters? We of course know that after the presidential election 2025, there were a little bit of tensions across the country, and it has been instigated by certain individuals both home and abroad. Of course, we have a plethora of panelists this evening to trash this topic, which of course is of great importance. With us on my left, we have of course somebody you know very well. He's no other person than Dr. Waters, a jurist. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Phil. It's a privilege and I'm so thankful to God for an opportunity like this to talk again. I want to greet my brother Joe that I have not seen for long, speaking on behalf of the Social Democratic Front, a party of the late chairman John Frundi that made me to love politics. If we don't give credit to those who credit are due, they were not honest to ourselves. I want to greet Honorable Njambe, my father and a mentor, and to Barrister Mofo by me, and I promise him I'm going to be a gentleman today because President Paul Biya has already been sworn in like head of state. And if I campaign and stood for Paul Biya and my candidate has won, the message outside now is that of appeasement. There's only one Cameroon. Some people might have had many places to go, but have only one nation, Cameroon. And if we're here today, is to tell those who are trying to destabilize the country and to destroy all what we have, that every generation has its mission. If we cannot improve on what were being transferred and given to us by our forefathers, we should be able to maintain it for our own children.
Of course, that's Dr. Waters, a jurist. Just to remind Dr. Waters that he is the person that is sitting beside you is known for Lawson Ngwa. He is a civil society activist. Of course, good evening, known for being part of this program tonight.
Good evening, Philip. Good evening, televiewers. Good evening, my dear brothers, dear panelists. I am very enlightened. I am very happy to be on set for the first time on the M4 TV, a program or a station that I watch every morning when I get to my office.
Oh.
And I enjoy your programs because they are impactful, sensitive, educative, and life transforming. I want to thank the presenter for giving me the opportunity to be part and parcel of this program, and I think we shall, in the course of the program, discuss, brainstorm, and look for solutions because we love our country.
Numfo Lawson, of course, Ngwa, he's a civil activist. Of course, civil society activist. Of course, I will go to my right. We have a communicator from the opposition party. Of course, the SDF party. He's no other person than Chi Dieudonné. Welcome to the program and good evening.
Good evening, dear brother. Good evening to televiewers. I won't forget my co-panelist. Especially good evening to Mr. Mo Waters. I want to thank you for the homage you have paid to the late chairman John Frundi, my spiritual father, whom I stand to continue his legacy alongside a lot of young Cameroonians who have been inspired by him, but he is to me a spiritual father. And I want to use this opportunity to speak and send a clear message to the Director General of Elections Cameroon. With my experience on the field with these presidential elections in the Northwest region, working in a polling station where out of 268 voters registered, only 4 voted. I noted the disenfranchisement of the people of the Northwest, and I know this is probably the same situation. Please, very briefly, this is probably the same situation in the Southwest. I'm telling the Director General of ELECAM that they should make sure that when elections are called, let the people be put in the disposition to be able to vote, because the polling centers were created in the Northwest in such a way that it can be seen clearly that the strategy was to disenfranchise the people, because people were expected to travel, so many kilometers, taking into consideration the normal constraints of transportation on election day, taking into consideration that ghost towns were declared by separatists. I want to think that even the figures that were presented as coming from the Northwest are figures that are emanated from ghost voters, because the people, from what I saw, were disenfranchised. My people today want to participate. They want to choose the leaders that will help them solve the problems that we have. Because if we are having problems in Cameroon, we have a serious crisis of leadership. If we are where we are today, is because leadership has also failed Cameroon. And the people during elections have to be given the opportunity to choose their leaders. And these people cannot be given the opportunity through a strategy of disenfranchisement. I'm calling therefore the Director General of Elections Cameroon to take measures and make sure that in future elections, let the polling centers be close to the people, where the people can reasonably move on foot and go and vote. Thank you.
Chi Dieudonné, of course, communicator with the SDF of opposition political party in Cameroon. Notwithstanding, we have somebody you already, of course, familiar with. He's no other person than Honorable Ojambeng Stephen. He's, of course, a member of the Northwest Regional Assembly, and also a section president of Ngi in the Momo division. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mr. Philip. I am so grateful to be here today. Good evening, televiewers. Good evening, my co-panelists, Dr. Mo Waters, Mr. Mufo, Mr. Chi. I'm so happy to be on set with all of you, and I just pray that we temper down and try to educate the audience that are watching and keep aside polemics. Politics has passed. It's now time for us to build. It's very normal that people can fear elections and still be on flames, but a wise man will always think about tomorrow. As I want to say, thank you, Mr. Philip, for accepting me here today, and my respect to the authority of this station.
Thank you very much, Honorable Njambeng, a member of the Northwest Regional Assembly. Of course, with us we have Prince Ekuso, who happens to be the national president of the USDP, that is the United Socialist Democratic Party in Cameroon. He's somebody that, of course, he's highly recognized on the media landscape. He will be with us in a jiffy. Thank you very much. Let's have this transition. We'll be back. course, if you are just joining us, this is your program Game of Thrones on M4 television. We just welcome the national president of the social is USDP.
United Social Democratic.
Of course, United Social Democratic Party.
I'm a vice president in that party.
He's somebody that, of course, is very familiar with TV channels in Cameroon, and he's no other person than Prince Ekoso. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, my brother, and good evening to our televiewers. Good evening to fellow panelists. Once again, it's a pleasure for me to be here today on this your set, and I think it's my first time to be here on this program, and I hope that we are going to have a very reasonable debate and to make sure that at the end of the day our people are actually educated. Of course, it's going to be a reasonable debate because we have a plethora of intellectuals sitting right here on set. Of course, we dive directly to what we have for you as menu. Of course, at the first topic that we'll be treating today, which of course is President Paul Biya's inaugural address. Is it timely? This address, of course, is coming at the moment where Cameroonians, of course, are clamoring, asking a lot of questions, crying on issues concerning infrastructural development and other projects in the country. Re-electing President Paul Biya for the 8th time in the country is, of course, something that the CPDM party has been crying for, and his presence at the helm of activities in power is a blessing to the party sympathizers. Of course, I'll commence with you, Dr. Mowotas. You are a jurist, and of course, you come to discover that during the 6th of November, President Paul Biya, of course, was crowned as the president of the Republic of Cameroon after a wonderful landslide victory, which gave him 53.66% against his opponent in the country. This particular speech, his inaugural speech, of course, yes, that has been Cameroonians have been waiting for over the years, over months today. Do you think actually it is timely?
Yes, I think, thank you, Phil. The speech of the President of the Republic reassures Cameroonians. It's a speech that comes to give hope to young people and women who feel all is lost. The speech of the president came to comfort people who believe that age is synonymous to death, and that when you are old, instead of treating you like a library, we should kill you and bury you fast. That phenomenon have changed. The speech of President Paul Biya came equally to reignite aspirations to Cameroonian young people, that there are some people who have a school of thought that they don't panic because of what people are saying. They don't talk to react to what people are saying, but they talk when it's timely. And that is an attitude that, as a young person growing, we need to adopt it like statesmen. You don't react to people because they're acting. In life, wherever you are coming from, whether from the family, as we're talking here, people must heed at us. But we will not react to them because they're shouting that we must not talk the way we're talking. Sometimes we even explain and give them answers to questions they are asking, still attack you. So one thing I took from President Paul Biya is that he is a statesman who is steadfast. He doesn't act based on emotions. He doesn't act based on what people think he should say, but a man that pardons, that forgives, and that work on an aspiration based on consistency.
Dr. Mowotas, of course, during that inaugural speech, a lot of promises were being made by President Paul Biya in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of launching a doctorate degree that was, of course, withheld in Cameroon for some time, and also relaunching competitive entrance examinations into exactly. So tell us, do you think these particular declarations from the head of state has come to appease the people of Cameroon?
Let me tell you, to be very honest, as I sit here, I'm supposed to have, I left classes from Success Forum. In the end, I'm a teacher. Every day I teach general knowledge, preparing people for École Normale and Sedanenam. When that declaration came up, it gave hope that today it is possible to graduate from a school and then have access to direct employment, and the number of seats should be improved. It gave people, I mean, this declaration coming from head of state is like, telling the young, youthful generation who almost gave up that today is possible for you to bounce back into ENAM, into ENS, into NSET through competitive internal exam, which for the past, I think, 2 or 3 years, were based only on replacement of space available, which shouldn't be the case. You and I are witnesses that those who are escaping from these countries are teachers and medical doctors because their status has not been the best. And the head of state, beside youth and women, is telling us that doctorate program is brought back to order and that access to professional schools like ENS and NSET, and you and I can accept that a teacher has everything. Once you are a teacher well trained in this country, you are well fit to adapt to any field. He's bringing back that. Then it's a hope that should be celebrated. It's not right, because in this country there are millions of Cameroonians who want to get to a Economa, who want to get to NSET. But most of them in the past, when they graduate, need to wait again. It's a blessing, not a curse. Anything that's not a curse is a blessing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mo.
And we must celebrate the person who did that. President Paul Biya for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much, Dr.
Which country? Are you only one?
Thank you very much. I'll come back to you in a jiffy. I'll get to you, Mr. Anumfo Lawson Ngwa. Of course, you're a civil activist, and you had the opportunity to listen to President Paul Biya on the 6th of November during his inaugural ceremony. Of course, what actually caught your attention, and what do you think President Paul Biya declared during that particular inaugural speech that made you think Cameroon will be the paradise?
Thank you once more, Philip. You know, prior to this election, calls were coming from all the 4 corners of this nation, from the English-speaking regions. For the past 9 years, there have been grievances. We don't want to come back to the Anglophone problem, which has been there for 9 years. We had our brothers and sisters from the northern regions who expressed grievances, legitimate grievances over socio-economic underdevelopment and so many others. We equally had grievances even within the CPDM.
But the solution was given during the inaugural speech.
Yes, I'm coming to it. We even had grievances expressed by some members of the CPDM, like the Leon Tele Onana, showing that the Cameroon, there is a generalized, state of leadership crisis and all other institutional problems that necessitate change. So that speech was welcome, was a welcome speech, and I was so happy with it. And I think that
what are you so happy in particular with the speech? Because he made so many points. He insisted on the empowerment of women and the youths. He made a lot of emphasis on the road infrastructures, in short, infrastructural development in general, bringing into existence potable water to Cameroonians, and so on and so forth.
Two aspects caught my attention.
What are they?
One, he expressed the desire to carry out institutional reforms. One, that is the first thing. Secondly, he talked about something that I hold dearly to my heart. He re-echoed, he called on our chiefs and our traditional rulers and administrators to organize community dialogue, which is something, a concept that I came up with in 2024. In which, in fact, I came up with a regional dialogue proposal, which I sold to most of the elite of the Northwest and Southwest, so that the Northwest and Southwest regions should organize a regional dialogue and come out of this crisis.
Of course, I thank you very much for such an edification. I'll come to you, Prince Ekoso. You, of course, you're the national president of the United Socialist Democratic Party in Cameroon. And it is no news that you do welcome some of the speeches or the entirety of the speeches of President Paul Biya during his inauguration ceremony in Cameroon. Now, he made so many emphasis on certain things, of course, that is touching the Cameroonian society. What, of course, was something that you heard and made you go, sir?
Well, basically, it is not my role to come here as a national president of a party and a former presidential candidate to come and analyze the speech of the incumbent. It's not my role, but I came here because I felt that it was necessary because, number one, I endorsed his candidacy at the end of the day, and based on a number of factors which I came to a gradual conclusion to. However, with regards to the inaugural speech and the things that are expectant of Cameroonians with regards to what direction the country should be able to follow, I believe strongly that President Paul Biya mentioned one of the aspects that actually caught the attention of Cameroonians in general, and that is the consistency to fight against corruption, which is fundamental in our society. And we cannot continue to live in a country where corruption has become the norm, and people feel like, in fact, there are a number of things like today. I was talking with someone about
over 40 years in power. Is it the right time to fight corruption?
No, there is no particular time to fight societal menace. You know, so society is a whole, is a continuation of different tendencies that comes up from time to time, and there are certain areas that should be consistent. You know, you cannot fight. There are certain aspects that are incorporate with the human nature. So you must consistently. It's just like education. You know, continue to educate people on how to be able to live a societal life. So the fight against corruption is one of the aspects which we have been talking about for a number of years now, and which has been a cankerworm to the society. And it actually gladdens my heart that he is consistent in mentioning the fact that he has realized that there is corruption in the country, and he is consistent in fighting that corruption. Because I remember that in 2018, I mean 28, after the
food crisis.
Yeah. He came up and he made a speech in February, in the month of February, and he said that we cannot continue to destroy the country by multiplying the ruins.
But Prince Ekoso, you were one of those opposition parties in Cameroon who've been, of course, against the CPDM party. I'm talking the party in power. And of course, a few days or a few hours after the when the president called the electoral college, of course, you had a meeting at the tripartite conference at the National Assembly in Yaoundé, and you were among the speakers present during that particular conference. Was the president of the FSNC, Issa Chuba. You were there. You spoke so boldly and condemning the actions of President Paul Biya. But today you are with them. What happened?
No, excuse me. One of the things I want us to be very, very clear about is that I am not a member of the CPDM. The USDP has not endorsed the CPDM. The USDP endorsed a candidate of the CPDM. Those are two different things.
That is probably
we endorse the candidate. We did not endorse the CPDM. We are not part of the CPDM.
You see the USDP biased.
We are.
No CPD. Is it USDP biased? No CPD. What are we saying?
Right, you have the floor.
So those are the polemics I want us to be clear about. Therefore, the reasons why we decided to endorse Paul Biya for this presidential election is contingent on a number of factors which we don't have the time now to elaborate on.
Of course.
So let me answer the question that you first of all asked with regards to the speech, and that is why I came here. Now, the speech I mentioned about corruption, which is a cankerworm in our country. Also the aspect of, you know, emphasizing on making more input on the youths and let me say the women. Those are vulnerable groups in Cameroon, which we have been trying to be able to, you know, strengthen their portfolio for all this while as a political vision. So the youths, in my view, became or are a priority to Mr. Biya's mandate for this next 7 years. And therefore, I take this opportunity to encourage every youth, whether you are of the CPDM or whether you are of the UNDP or you are the FSNC, you are from UPC, I believe strongly that the time has come for the youths to be able to take the opportunity and to press on the statement of Mr. Biya and reminding him that this is what you said with regards to this aspect and with regards to the youths. And therefore the youth should be able to come together and understand that time is coming where the
Prince Ekoso.
By joining the CPJ, now I know what the president is saying.
The system,
hey, you know, his party should go join the CPJ.
Prince Ekoso, it is very obvious that there are some Cameroonians who are out there criticizing.
Are you saying you are telling people that you are sorry in the past and then you don't repeat it having the idea to come back?
Prince Ekoso, of course, let's maintain order.
Because a repentant follower of Bia is too. I want you, is he part of me or is not there? I want to hear that.
Let's maintain order here. I'm still with Prince Ekoso, of course. You come to discover that President Paul Biya, of course, congratulated the elections Cameroon for organizing a wonderful election. Do you believe the process was fair and credible?
No process, no human process in terms of societal building is always perfect. That should be very, very clear to all Cameroonians. And therefore, there are times in our life that we need to be able to appreciate some little efforts that people make so that we can be able to find a way forward. I cannot guarantee that the process was perfect because there were a lot of complaints from left and from right. And that does not mean that we cannot perfect some of those errors. I am a politician that understands that human nature has frailties. And that frailty is sometimes transferred to certain actions. And therefore, it is incumbent on us to be able to make sure that we call on the powers that be to make sure that they put up regulations that should be able to actually minimize some of those frailty to keep on popping up from time to time, especially when administrative responsibilities are concerned. So in my view, and in the views of many Cameroonians, the process was not that perfect. But at the same time, I think that we had one of the presidential elections that were actually, from the beginning and during campaign, it was free from a lot of violence. It was free from a lot of polemics. The candidates were focused on their vision, they were focused on their strategies, and so on and so forth. And then again, we saw a lot of young people who were candidates in the election. So those are all aspects that I believe that it made the president to be able to appreciate Elekam because there were some milestones which Elekam... and before that, I want to also inform Cameroon that before that election, before the election of 2020 of October, Elekam had a series of meetings with political stakeholders. And I am one of those beneficiaries of those, let me say, participants of those meetings because Elekam had to consult and we had to drill Elekam on a number of things. So for me, Elekam did some work that I felt that she was doing more of consultation and trying to be able to know and to minimize some of those errors. I believe that if Elekam just wanted to do things hands-free, there would have been a lot of chaos in the process.
Prince Ekoso, National President of the United Socialist Democratic Party in Cameroon. Of course, with us also we have Dieudonné Chi. It is very obvious that since the start of this program, you are not comfortable because you are moving left to right, depending on the various declarations from panelists here with us. Today, you are from the SDF party. Are you comfortable with the speech of President Paul Biya? Does this speech, of course, comes at the appropriate time to resolve issues that is troubling the entire nation?
Well, sir, thank you. Before I answer your question, like a student onto whom a teacher has asked a question, I want some few facts to be made clear. My senior brother, Prince Ekoso, since we have to situate, we have to be within context. We're talking about the presidential elections of 2025. Presented himself as a former presidential candidate. I think this is falsehood because he was not a presidential candidate for this presidential election. So we should educate the people by telling them the truth. I do hope that as we are going on with the debate, you will provide enough time for me to elaborate because I've looked at the configuration of the table now. I see myself with 3 CPDM people. Even though some people are saying that they support Paul Biya, but they don't support CPDM, but I see that the panel is already very unbalanced. You balance it by the time the way you have the floor. I'm not dictating. I'm just making a suggestion, and appealing to reason.
A lot of things.
All right. That said, sir. Before I dive into answering your question, there's a general statement I want to make with this electoral process to state very firmly that I reject the outcome of this electoral process the way it is. This has not got to, this has got nothing to thinking that this person won or this person did not win. Because the snail paste and the lack of goodwill the lack of goodwill in making our electoral process credible is something that is alarming. We have been moving for so many years from Minat through Onel 1, Onel 2, to Elekam, to partial biometrics. But there are things that we can do for our country. Today, after every election, democracy should be the winner. Our democratic system should win. If we are having the problems we are having today... Are you
telling us that there is no democracy in Cameroon?
Please, let me speak.
If we are having the problems that we are having...
Please, when you were talking, I was not talking.
Okay, sorry.
Why don't you have the floor?
If we are having the problems that we are having today, it's because our democracy has been programmed not to be able to deliver the solutions to the people, and we are not moving at an acceptable pace. Today we were supposed to be able to have integral biometrics. We are supposed to have an electoral system in which Cameroonians can trust. I have just told you that I have the impression that we had ghost voters in the northwest and southwest regions, and I still have that very impression in my head until proven contrary. I am even of the opinion that electoral fraud should be qualified expressly as a felony, because people who commit electoral fraud can be seen as killing, because they're killing the future, they're killing the people, they're stopping the right leader to take care of the interests of the people.
Did you identify any...
Based on
Did you identify any electoral fraud?
Is too bad.
Pardon?
Did you identify any electoral fraud during the election?
Please, we are not in a court. We are not in a court. I have said that a lot of allegations of fraud have come out.
You must have had
a lot of allegations of fraud have come out.
Treated to have committed felony.
Please let me talk.
But during his speech, he said...
I'm responsible for my statements. I said electoral fraud, to my opinion, should be expressly qualified as a felony. So that people... Can I speak?
Yes. The president had to welcome the efforts of Elekam, meaning Elekam did a very good job. Are you telling us that the statement of President Paul Biya during his inaugural speech was something not worthy of appreciation?
According to him, Elekam did a very good job, and unsurprisingly, because according to that good job, he emerged the winner. What did you logically expect? But what I am saying is this, and this message now to the head of state and to those that are close to him and who have the concern of doing something for which President Paul Biya will be remembered, because this is the time for him to work on how he will be remembered. Let those people understand that the message that was passed through this election, irrespective of the frustrations of the fraud allegations and whatsoever, the lack of confidence in the process, there was an important message that was passed during this election. That message is a message for change. If you look even at the official results, which I do not accept, you will see that those official results are the second lowest official result, second lowest possible performance of President Paul Biya that he has had since he came to power, and since after the first multi-party elections of 1992.
That's a proof of democracy.
This message, yes,
that's a proof of democracy.
Please let me talk. Please let me talk. This message has come to let the actors, whether it is President Paul Biya or whosoever who claims to win, or those who claim to win, to understand that the message has come. The message is a message of change. And President Paul Biya at this point in time, with the grace of God, which I keep insisting that is upon his life, because to be alive at his age and being able to talk the way he talked, or even sometimes making some issues like should I stand up, should I not stand up, is still grace, because a lot of us will possibly not be able to do that. I'm saying therefore that message of change is above individual interest. That message of change has come and is above all the actors who were there now. Permit me say this. There are actors within the electoral process.
Yes. You've been making a lot of declarations here. Are you opting for the revision of the electoral code?
Of course. Of course. That is one of the things that President Paul Biya need to do. This is one of the things that President Paul Biya need to do. It will not be business as usual. You are seeing what is happening to Cameroon now. You can imagine Cameroon without President Paul Biya, and I think that President Paul Biya should start thinking about that Cameroon now. It will not just be like people will just come and still cry allegations of fraud and just go away with it. Let us be very careful. After 43 years, and I'm happy he spoke about giving the youth a foundation going ahead. And this is part of the foundation we are talking about. what the message has gone through, the message of change has been heard, and I wish it resonates in the mind of President Paul Biya, and it resonates in the mind of all political actors, because even some who are declaring for today were part of those that stole the victory of the late chairman Nijon Fundi and gave President Paul Biya. Please, let us understand. President Paul Biya, President Paul Biya cannot deny. President Paul Biya cannot deny. President Paul Biya cannot deny being a beneficiary of stolen elections. Because when Zongbang spoke that he stole elections and gave him, up to today, no one single finger has been raised against Zongbang to say, no, you lied. No, come to court and prove what you said. He knows that he's a beneficiary of stolen elections. That is not the case here, but let him articulate. Let him articulate, and all the political actors should embrace wisdom and put a good foundation for Cameroon going ahead. Now, coming back to your question.
Nobody stole nothing. There is an institution that has been dedicated to man activities.
I have told you. Now, Mr. Zongbang declared that he stole elections and it has never been contested. Which means they accept, sir. And knowing the influential role that Mr. Zongbang played in 1992 election, if he makes such a declaration and nobody is worried, they accept it. And up to today, I affirm that the late chairman Nijon Fundi won the presidential election. Whatever happened is a case for another day. But we are saying that going ahead, let President Paul Biya take advantage of the grace of God upon his life and work together with all other actors of goodwill to set a good foundation for Cameroon. And I'm calling on the political leaders, even all the others who are saying that they have won elections today, to come back to reason, to look at the past, what they have done to this country, especially even within the context of elections, and say, no, now we need to think of the people, we need to think of the young people and give them a better foundation to go ahead. You asked me a question. One aspect that the president raised was very important.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you in a jiffy. Of course, we have Honorable Ojambeng. It is very obvious that your president, of course, the national president of the CPDM party, won the election, and Cameroonians, of course, are very happy due to such a landslide victory today. And during his inaugural speech, he made a series of promises to Cameroonians, and it is very obvious that in no distant time some of these promises will surface, and Cameroonians will be a beneficiary of his hard work. And he made mention of he's going to focus on the youth and the women. Do you think the youths and the women are expecting a marvelous change in just a few months in Cameroon?
Mr. Flip, I'm confused. I don't know what we are doing here. I don't know if we are here for a program, a gentleman program to educate and entertain Cameroonians, or we are here for a quarrel. Please.
That's his own opinion. Just go directly to the point.
I just want to be very sure that we are safe here, because at a time when we're about to give concrete information to Cameroonians, especially those who are waiting to listen and be educated about the way forward. I hear people come here with issues that are stigmatizing and even creating us to look like, I don't want to be part of a panel like this, please. But let me take the benefit of the fact that I'm already in your program, and I want to say that next time you want to invite
Honorable Ojambeng,
please, I have the floor. You can't stop me.
Honorable Ojambeng,
you can't stop me. You cannot stop me.
Honorable Ojambeng,
I have the floor.
Yeah, you have the floor.
You cannot stop me.
But I'm moderating here.
I am saying
just go directly to the
please. When next
you can't buy his opinion. That's your opinion.
You want to invite
Honorable Ojambeng, please
let us be mature enough.
Go straight to the point.
Let us be mature enough to talk sense and not to come and crowd people's head here. Please
go to the point. Okay, straight to the point.
The President Paul Biya said a lot of good things. Of course, he was communicating to sound Cameroonians of good faith, people who love this nation, people who believe in this country, people who want to see something different, people want to make the difference in life to build this nation. He talked about recognizing the frustration of the rising generation. That is a father, the head of state, the father of the nation, recognizing the frustration of the rising generation.
What are the youths and the women expecting from President Paul Biya during his early term of mandate?
You do not ask another question when I have not finished the order. Please
just
allow me go through
allow him to talk about CPD. Woman should not talk again.
I am very angry when I ask me a question. I'm talking to you about what I picked out of the speech of the president. And permit me just go through before you ask another question. I am saying that the head of state gave hope to the rising generation. That I, as the head of state, President Paul Biya, father of the nation, recognizes the frustration of the young people. And if you go into that practically, you realize that young people have been manipulated. Those that were on the streets were young people. You hardly see an old man on the street. They were young people. And because of the frustration they find themselves, they're looking for something different. He said, I recognize your frustration. And he says, this is the time which I am giving attention to the youths and the women. That's to tell you that the head of state have seen that the youth of Cameroon have become of age to be able to take responsibility, their future into their hands. Remember, he said something again. Those who swindle, embezzle state funds are in a way chopping the destiny of the rising generation. That is another landmark point there. Telling those who have been involved in corrupt practices that corruption is going to be intensified. It's giving hope to the rising generation.
Every time
for over 40 years,
permit me, sir. Okay. I am still analyzing and going on points that I picked from.
You can't take the whole day to analyze just a speech.
If you don't want me to talk, please, you just tell me.
You have a few seconds, Honorable.
When your Frenchie was talking and making a hell of noise here, you didn't stop him.
Honorable,
so why do you want to stop? Are you against the system?
Let's continue peacefully.
Okay, so
you have the floor.
I am not giving points that I picked from the speech of the head of state. They also talked again about infrastructural development and love. How do we love our country? Coexistence. Now, you will realize that Cameroon is a nation where everybody, from past speeches made by the head of state, should feel comfortable wherever you find yourself. Whether you are in the north, you are in Yokaduma, you are in the northwest, you are in center, you are where, feel comfortable. You see, that's my brother, the Dr. More
He came to appease Cameroonian people.
More Waters is putting on
his speech actually was meant to appease the heart of Cameroonian people.
More Waters is putting on a fabric which is purely Muslim-like, right?
That's right.
Mr. Lawson is putting on the Yoruba fabric. You know, you see, this is what they call social integration. You see, and I will be very comfortable to see you putting on.
It is their choice.
Togo from the northwest.
It is their choice.
The other Togo from the west. This is part of the things that make us live as one united Cameroon and indivisible. Let's also talk about our dishes, okay? Because there are some of the things.
Honorable, of course,
I feel like you didn't really want me to come.
No, not that honorable, of course.
You have to go this way.
No,
you really have to go this way.
You're not supposed to.
I have my points to make.
Honorable,
let me protest my points.
Honorable, you have enough time to do that, and you've been given the time to do that. But other people needs to speak too. Thank you very much. I'll be coming back to you in a moment. I'll come back to you, Ngwalauson. Of course, it's very obvious that in one of his speeches, he emphasized on the youth, which of course is a major issue in Cameroon concerning entrepreneurship and so on and so forth. Do you think that due to this declaration that President Paul Biya made, talking to the fact that he's going to create atmosphere for entrepreneurship, make sure that Cameroonians also benefit from financial subventions, do you think this, of course, is going to pave the way for entrepreneurial creation in Cameroon and, of course, boost Cameroon's economy in the days ahead?
Yes. Before I answer that question, I'd like to say that if you go through the ministries, the various ministries, virtually all the ministries have youth in entrepreneurship programs. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Agriculture, Livestock, small and medium size where I work, you know, educational vocational training. All the ministries have youth entrepreneurship programs that President Biya created a long time ago.
Meaning the speech that President Paul Biya or the address that he made isn't timely.
No, it was timely.
That a lot, and he needed not to make such statement at this time.
No,
that's what you're saying.
I take exception to one thing. You know, it is not the absence of youth programs that we have in Cameroon. The president had always created youth programs. We had in the past, we used to have the plan triennial of 103 billion francs that was set aside for youth employment. The problem we have in our country is that all these youth programs that were meant to assist youth to create jobs, to make them become entrepreneurs, most of these projects were, you know,
poorly managed.
We have PRC, we have Paget, we have PIFMAS, we have, there are so many of them. Today you don't hear of them. What is the problem? In my opinion, instead of why it is good that he has still talked about these programs, I would rather call on the president to revisit, to find out why the other ones that he created have failed. Why did they fail? And then those who caused them to fail should be brought to book.
Good. Thank you very much, Lausin Ongwa. Of course, it's very obvious that in Cameroon, there are so many people out there who are asking questions. President Paul Biya is going towards another term, and are we sure that these 7 years mandate, of course, will yield fruit? I'll come back to you, Dr. Mowaters, a jurist. It's very obvious that there are so many things that needs to be done. The president promises a lot of infrastructural development, and some of these infrastructures are in Cameroon, and they are not yet finished. Cameroonians are crying, saying that they are using taxpayers' money to construct unfinished projects, and every day they are taking consuming taxpayers' money, and the results are not visible. Do you think there's going to be a change in a few months?
If I must continue from where you are ending, there's no change. There will be no change. Why? Because we know a man that should be remembered in history based on his visions. Vision has to do with engagement and parole. I feel disappointed with the head of state speech in one thing. He is not becoming the president of the republic for the first time. He promised in 2018. I expected a statement to hear this time around 7 years ago. I was here, I promised you jobs. These are the jobs available. Can you not trust me? I didn't hear one. I expected the head of state to tell me the Judicial Council of Magistracy have not held for almost 7 years because there were issues. Now that I am standing on my feet, it will roll. He said nothing about that, and magistrates are dying. They are waiting posting. Paul Biya became president at the age of 49. He's promising young people and women. I am 47. Can I give him 2 years to hand me power too? Can I wait on Paul Biya to make me head of state at 47 and 49? He's promising what? To marry women at 93? How can a man of 93 years that have gone through every career one step after another deceive Cameroonians and intellectual people talk like blind people?
That's not a deceit.
Vision has to do with engagement.
That was of course.
What did you do? And now we cannot trust you.
Some of his
I promise. I did this.
Some of his declarations were of course included in his manifesto during
manifesto. That is not the first one. An inaugural speech has to do with method. Those who wrote that speech are the problem about that. Method. Meaning is not to do presidential campaign at National Assembly, because who he is, he's not standing in Gogetunja field talking to those who want to vote him. No. He's making a pledge to those who gave him an absolute majority that even outside there, people are rejecting me. You can count on me based on what I have done in the past, which wasn't mentioned. Inaugural speech is no longer another campaign. For what? So that speech had a problem.
He also, of course, made mention of the fact that he's going to submit to the parliament some reforms to make sure that, of course, that there is an efficiency in state affairs.
That's very true.
Of course.
Lagos State coming to tell us that you brought back a doctorate program. When those who have access to doctorate degree march on street and some even collapse to be recruited in state university, how does it help people?
Intelligence is very important.
Intelligence that he cannot give you food to eat. Intelligence that carry you back to go back and beg basic slipper from your brother who did not go to school and left you 10 years ago and was selling low glass in Douala, mocking at education. How does it help a young man who graduated from University of Yaoundé to a PhD to be able to create a job for himself? It's a waste. This speech should be redone again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mowotas. Juris, I'll come back to you. We are about terminating this first phase of the program. Of course, I'll come back to you, Prince Kusum. President Paul Biya, of course, made a series of submissions or statements during his inaugural speech, of course, talking about the reform of the state. Do you think at one point in time, Cameroonians are expecting a new vice president?
Well, basically, the post of vice president is has overdue in the political
landscape,
administrative setup in Cameroon, because one of the things that we should be able to understand for ourselves is that there is nothing new that we'll be talking on this platform that President Paul Biya does not know with regards to this country and how the country is supposed to be managed and how well can the country be managed. As a matter of fact, most of the things that we say here are things that they know and he knows. The post of vice president is a historical position which was naturally supposed to operate without any nuance as with regards to the collaboration between Southern Cameroon and La Republique du Cameroon. It is supposed to be like that. But you know, there are different kinds of you know, administrative proposal that has come on his table, and in my view has, you know, shifted Mr. Biya's original vision for Cameroon into a direction where I feel like he himself doesn't really understand what is best for his political program for the country.
So you are trying to make us, you are trying to let Cameroonians know that, understand that knowledge is perishable.
Now, I want us to remain on the question, you know, because if you ask question, you drift on the question yourself.
I'm not drifting. If you're saying that it's like President Paul Biya is not understanding what's actually going on, it means he's not efficient enough. That's what you're saying.
I was just trying to be able to buttress my point to be able to answer your question. So my buttressing should not trigger you to go away from your question. Okay. You see, so the question is that the post of vice president, is it overdue in the political program of Cameroon? I think that looking at the situation on ground, it is appropriate. I'm not saying that it is the best moment, because the best moment has come and go and come and go, but I think that it is appropriate at this point in time, given the tension that has happened in the country, and given that of the Northwest and the Southwest, and given the political stalemate of the country at the moment, it is important. I think somebody mentioned about, you know, I think what is Ojambe mentioning about the need, you know, to really bring up new actors on the limelight, so that those actors actually occupy positions that actually translate you know, the intention of the president, which is to leave Cameroon a country that is more democratic. That was what he said. And so we must always take politicians on their words. Because if they don't respect their words, then we will be able to call them to be able to respect their words. Those are programs of democracy. And so I want to emphasize that the post of vice president is not going to be like some favor. You get the point? It is supposed to be one of those aspects that actually translate a new policy, a new program, a new approach to be able to solve some of the problems that we are having in terms of administrative differences that we have been having. You know, so in my view, the post of vice president is important. It is appropriate at this point in time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prince Ekusu. You have the floor, Chi Diodone. Of course, you are not happy. You are bubbling. It's like at this moment you're going to explode. But it's very obvious that the president made a series of declarations, and of course, it is highly welcomed by Cameroonians. At this moment, a lot of people are saying that the president made the speech at the right time. But to you, do you welcome it? Do you welcome all the declarations that was made by President Paul Biya? Do you think with such a declaration, Cameroon is going to become the El Dorado, is going to become the nation that everybody is aspiring to see in the days ahead?
Because of constraints of time, I will not want to pronounce myself on the timely nature or not.
Just
want to go straight, yes, just go straight to the point, to some of the things that he said. And also to salute my senior brother who has come in to add to, you know, to notice the failure which President Paul Biya himself has has also taken note of, that after 43 years, his mandate over Cameroon for this number of years has brought Cameroon a lot of frustrations. No, your
president, your national president, Honorable O.C. Joshua, was actually present during this inauguration, and when things were unfolding back there, he was smiling.
He was opposite batch, he was not present.
When somebody is smiling, go and ask him why he was smiling. If I smile because you are doing the wrong thing, don't assume that I'm smiling because I like what you are saying. So I am saying that I don't want to pronounce myself on the timeliness, but I go straight to the point. First of all, he mentioned the issue of bringing back ENS and ESET and doctoral. We all know the limits, because even when these programs were there, they have not contributed in resolving problems substantially.
But these will, of course, provide jobs and, of course, thousands of jobs to Cameroonians and to the youth.
The problem of youth unemployment requires that we review the governance system of this country totally and make it in such a way that Cameroonians become job creators. For now, we are not yet there. But he has mentioned this one just to bring back the old practice.
But he said he's going to finance projects presented by youths in collaboration with territorial.
The senior mandate just pointed out to you that there have been
decentralized territorial collectivities. That was what he said.
Yes, of course, please. The senior man pointed out to you that there have been so many different initiatives in the past, but those initiatives have not always given the right fruits. So please, let's not get distracted. I want to say this. He mentioned that he has to bring back the ENS for direct integration into the ENS, and I want to call the attention of the head of state that he has to do justice to those that have been going into the ENS and ESET for the past 2 years as private ENS and ESET students, by starting by integrating them first before going to recruit new ones. He has to do justice to these Cameroonians. He has to integrate them first before going to recruit new ones. And to go back to his speech, he mentioned, like I told you, I underlined the word, because to be politically correct, he could have said, I understand, I take a full measure of the expectations of Cameroonians. But he underlined the word frustration. He stated frustration. And Cameroonians, especially the youths, the hardship in this country has put the youth in such a situation. You saw when people said, when they were striking because of electoral issues, it turned around into vandalism. Youth were stealing to eat, struggling like that because the frustrations are too much. And I'm happy that that word came out. Secondly, he called God severally.
Twice.
Yes. And I'm praying on that very God, unto whom nothing is impossible, to arrest his heart and arrest the heart of all those that are around him, and let people govern Cameroon from their hearts. He talked about fighting terrorism with the last rigor, and I'm here to call the attention of the head of state that there is a dimension of terrorism that he has not been making mention of. I call them state pen terrorists. People who, with their pens, have so badly governed Cameroon, embezzled the resources of this country, have frustrated the youth and pushed them to embrace violence.
Corruption will be intensified. The fight against corruption will be intensified.
I want to use my words. These are financial terrorists, state terrorists, who use their pens to terrorize all Cameroonians and push Cameroonians to extremes. And when they become frustrated, they embrace violence as a means of expression. So the President of the Republic should start with these state terrorists who are using the pen to terrorize Cameroonians. With respect to corruption, President Paul Biya was expected to declare solemnly that Article 66 of the Constitution is going to be applied within 24 hours as I leave the National Assembly. Don't come and really tell people that we will intensify. All that big grammar we are used to it. If Cameroon was to be built based on beautiful speeches, Cameroon would be better than the United States of America. But today, we want results. The young people want results. And I'm saying it. If the young people will still have to be waiting for those results to President Paul Biya, let President Paul Biya know that it is the outcome of a special grace of God upon his life.
Thank you very much.
And he has to do everything possible to give these young people, accompany these young people, to work with these young people, lay the foundation on which these young people will restore the dignity of Cameroon. Because Cameroon has been robbed to the moon. And I want to close this to salute my senior brother, the father from the CPDM, who qualified what other families say noise. And I was expecting you to say no, it's not right.
You
cannot qualify what other people say as noise.
We have other panelists that
I want to end on that to say, this form of disrespect, you have to understand my own emotion. If you want to dialogue in this country, I am equally as frustrated as the many young people out there. And when I come here, I don't want to speak big grammar and feel so comfortable. I'm here to express your mind. And if you feel that is noise, it's very disappointing to hear it from the father. I don't think President Paul Biya can even say what you just said.
Thank you very much.
Because you will listen to me to understand my emotions. You should listen to me to understand why I speak the way I speak. Because it pains to see that the streets of Yaoundé are being decorated with death now. It pains to see circulation in the economic capital is not moving. It pains to see that people are still dying on the Douala Yaoundé road. It pains to see people dying in the northwest. And you don't expect me to come here and speak the grammar.
It's okay. Thank you very much. We've got information. Our Cameroonians that are watching, they already got what you said. Already on their table. I'll come back to you, Honorable Jambeng. You are not comfortable. You are very uncomfortable where you are sitting due to the fact that, according to you, maybe what you were supposed to say has been disrupted. Now, I'll put this to you, Honorable Jambeng, the member of the Northwest Regional Assembly. Of course, President Paul Biya made things that, of course, appease you, and it is appeasing to the militants of the CPDM. Are we seeing a better Cameroon tomorrow? Your last word, because we are coming to the end of this first phase of the program.
I think I want to reassure Cameroonians, especially the women and the youth, that the future is bright. The head of state, President Paul Biya, father of the nation, have said so. And also to my junior brother Chi, that it is not the amount of shouting on studio that will make people recognize your frustration. More confidence is given to people who can compose themselves and behave maturely. You may have something, a very good message you want to pass to
the way you pass it,
the power that be. The way you pass it makes it become rowdy, and they think that you are not a composed person. One other thing which I also want to appreciate President Paul Biya for is tolerance. You see, though we have freedom of speech, but there is an abuse the way we make it. It is obvious from the way you see Chi talks here, he has a lot of burden in his heart, but I can assure you, my dear brother, that the father of the nation is aware of the frustration of the young people, and he has promised
That's very good.
that this mandate is a transitional mandate with special attention on youth and women. What I want to tell young people is that wherever you find yourself, whatever you are doing, be transparent, be honest, compose yourself, and behave maturely. Give the best that you can offer in nation building. And there are eyes watching. Who can tell? It could be your turn tomorrow. My brother, Dr. Chu Waters, said that...
More Waters, not Chu.
More Waters said something here about when the head of state became president. You never can tell. It could be your own opportunity. Okay. So wherever we find ourselves, please let us compose and behave maturely, because success can come knocking at the door, and the next day you don't know.
Thank you.
So you asked a question about.
We are wrapping up on this first phase because there's no time. We need to get directly to the second phase of the program.
Let me learn.
Yeah, you have some few seconds, please.
I'm learning to say that there have been a lot of weaknesses. We know that.
That's right.
We all are Cameroonians, and we are witnesses to the lapses that have existed. And if we, the rising generation, can be able to point out these lapses, then we should also be ready that if power is given, we too can to build. That's right. Constructively.
Thank you very much. That's a very wonderful end. Thank you very much, dear panelists, for this first phase. Of course, we've come to the end of this first phase, and we need to divert, of course, to the second phase of the program. Just stay tuned, because we're back in a moment. Thanks for joining us. If you're just tuning in, of course, this is M4 TV here in Yaoundé. It's your program, Game of Thrones. We move directly to what we have for you as menu this evening. This is the second phase of the program, which, of course, is talking about the post-electoral tension in Cameroon. Where are the promoters? It is obvious that just a few days or few hours after the declaration or proclamation of results of the 2025 presidential elections, some people went out on the streets clamoring, pouring out their grievances. They were not comfortable with the results, but of course at the end of the day, some of them are now very comfortable wherever they are. It is very obvious that some of the promoters of these post-electoral tension are out of the country. Some of them are in the country. But the question that we'll be asking our panelists this very evening, where are they? Where are they situated? Are they the one actually, what means or what carnival that are they using to transmit violence in Cameroon? I'll commence with you, the national president of the United Socialist Democratic Party, which of course is no other person than Prince Ekoso. Post-electoral tension, the promoters, they are littered everywhere. Where are they emanating from? What means do they use to incite or to manipulate their subjects? Where are they from?
Well, before I answer your question, let me be very, very categorical that we don't need post-electoral violence in Cameroon. That should be very, very clear to everybody, because we know the system under which we operate when it comes to elections and the aftermath of election. All the mechanisms and the institutions are laid out for everybody to follow. If at all we really love this country. That's right. That's true. Secondly, I want us to understand that social media is a place where we have the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the social media has become a stage via which, you know, persons of very questionable intentions have been able to use those platforms to perpetrate their own agendas. I want to say that the young people occupy about, let me say, 90% of the social media space in the whole world. And in Cameroon, and let me say in Africa, and Cameroon in particular, we have the ages from even 9.
Prince, just a few days ago, messages are circulating on various platforms inciting violence. It is very obvious that Issa Chiroma, of course, said he gave 48 hours ultimatum to the Cameroonian government to release some of the people who were being caught during the post-electoral tension. Now, do you think Issa Chiroma, of course, needs to do this? Is it appropriate for him to do this? And where is he inciting this violence? Is he in Cameroon or out of the country?
You want me to be mentioning names of people who are involved in this whole process? Yes. I was trying to avoid that, but the point is that I will.
Are you not aware of this information?
I will plead your indulgence to allow me to flow with my thoughts, because if you punctuate my thoughts all the time, it will be unhealthy for your viewers.
You have the floor, please.
And so I was saying that the social media is a place where a lot of things do happen. But I want to encourage young Cameroonians that there is a positive side of the social media, that we can use it to be able to build our country and make the country to become economically strong, politically wise, and socially stable. We have that possibility. Now, coming to those who have been drawing the curtains behind the violence, the post-electoral violence, we all know the people. We all know them. The government knows everybody. That's one of the things I want us to understand, and Cameroonians to understand. People think that the government is blind, or the government doesn't even know where they are. The government has all the mechanism and the apparatus to identify who is talking where with any gadget, any technological gadget. So the government knows who is saying what. It comes to the place of what you mentioned about Issa Chiroma. I was part, when let me correct my brother also, I was part of the initiative to get a consensual candidate for the opposition from 2021. We started with 7 political parties, which his party was part of it, to be able to actually propose the electoral code, which we did. We worked on that document for about 2 years, and we were supposed to, migrate now from that consensual electoral code to a consensual candidate for the opposition, which I did very, very intensively, and I met with all of these actors. All of them, including Issa Chiroma. I was in his house at one point in time. We spoke at length. And in my view, and I said it before that to many other actors, that I don't see Mr. Issa Chiroma as a candidate, a consensual candidate. I don't see that in him. It should be very clear to Cameroonians that I don't mince my word, and I am very, very straight with what I say and all the time. I am not afraid of anybody. I respect people. But when the truth is concerned, I always stand for the truth.
You're welcome.
And I told Issa Chiroma in his house, if he can remember, that I don't see you as the consensual candidate because of this for this or this for that. And then later on, there are lots of information that I have about all of this scenario that is going on, that if I decide to start saying it on social media or on TV platforms, the country may go into another flames. But the truth is that all of these things that Chiroma is doing, he knows very well that it is sheer manipulation. I must say with all frankness that he knows that it is sheer manipulation, and he going on social media and asking the government, giving the government 48 hours to be able to release people. I mean, excuse me. I believe that we are in a state of law. Exactly. All right, and we cannot have a candidate who is what they say in French, un candidat malheureux, after the election, going about trying to create incitement on people to destroy the country. How do you want to govern the country that you have already set people on the pattern of destruction? Those are the things that from the beginning, I told him that I cannot endorse you for this, and for that. Please, and so please continue. What do you do with those people that you have mentioned, like Chiroma, who continues to incite, whether he is in Nigeria as it is alleged, or he is in Garoua as it is alleged, or it is somewhere as it is alleged. The point is that anybody who has caused one hurt to the other on any Cameroonian or any Cameroonian's property should be called to book according to the law.
Do you think Issa Chiroma is being influenced by foreign powers?
I will not answer that question for various reasons, because I have information that is so sensitive about all of these things that's going on. And I want to say that whether people are being influenced by external actors or internal actors, the problem is that we Cameroonians should come to a place of understanding that we have only one country. We have just one country. We can fight in this country, but we must not kill ourselves in the country. That is what should be important. And we cannot allow ourselves to be manipulated by people who have personal interest to see that we die so that they come and take over from us our resources. It can't happen that way.
Thank you very much, Prince Ekusu, National President of the United Socialist Democratic Party in Cameroon. I'll come to you directly, Achi Diodone. You are from the SDF party. Of course, you are a communicator from this party. I'll come back to you, Nufo. You're from the SDF party. Of course, President Paul Biya said in his speech, order must reign in Cameroon. Now, there are people who are, of course, instigating violence in Cameroon using various corridors to get to us, and there are people who are out there just adhering to such information, and their businesses are being shut down today, and things are not moving on their side, and some of them are already under the custody of the forces of law and order in Cameroon. Now, do you think, where do you think some of these influence is coming from? Is it only from Chiruma or their external forces?
Well, before I say anything, I want to make an appeal to the head of state, which I have always made, for appeasement, as he noticed himself that there is a lot of frustration. We don't have problems, but we are really frustrated. And when you know, when people are frustrated, so they are out of measure.
This is it.
And these frustrations are caused by who? We know them. I don't want to go into the details, but I'm calling on the head of state to go ahead with appeasement measures, starting from far back in the Anglophone crisis. Appeasement measure of release of prisoner, appeasement measure of granting amnesty. Coming back to 2018, there are still people in prison because of post-electoral issues in 2018. Appeasement measure of release of prisoner.
Prisoner who say they know they should burn people.
Please.
So release them.
I'll be coming to you.
Also release people that don't want to sleep.
I'll be coming to you.
One problem in this country because of these people, so release everybody.
Please let me talk.
Minister of Territorial Administration don't go out and say I must go and what will you do? When you put in prison, release them. Please. But in the state of law, at least you invited me as a
Let
jurist.
me talk.
Legally, we must respect our laws as bad as they are.
Let me talk. Politics is.
How can we release people on one ground? Release who?
Politics is.
Politics
is bigger.
I want to be given a call to kill them.
Politics is bigger.
Those who kill my ancestors, burn my house, my village, release them.
Politics.
To come and feast me outside.
Politics is bigger than the law.
No.
I respect.
When the state don't
your own opinion. Please respect mine. Please respect mine too.
You have the floor, Achijo.
Please respect mine too.
Why are you not there? Because you were so abiding. Release you what?
Dr. Moita,
it should continue with these appeasement measures right up to 2025 by releasing those.
So arresting those who are disputing issues.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Continue with these appeasement measures, and then to say that, please,
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you.
Very briefly, very briefly, to say that wherever people are found doing whatsoever is not the problem. The issue is we have to articulate the way forward. The way forward, going ahead, the president has a great responsibility. And even the person, Chiroma, who is claiming victory, has a very, very important responsibility considering the role he has played in the electoral process of Cameroon. Considering the role he has played in the Cameroon, let them consider the future generation, let them consider the young generation, and come together. Let's talk and give Cameroonians, especially the young people, a better basis to restore the dignity of this country.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Jambeng. It is very obvious that, of course, Cameroonians are not happy with the attention, and it is obvious also that in some parts of the country, as what President Paul Biya said, some of these people that are perpetrating violence in the country are stemming from other countries. Do you buy this view?
No, it will be an overstatement to say that Cameroonians are not happy. That's an overstatement. Maybe you want to say some Cameroonians. Yes, if you go with the word some Cameroonians, I think that you have a right to your opinion. Majority of Cameroonians, peace-loving Cameroonians, are so happy with the way the elections were conducted and the outcome of the results. They are happy with it.
Where are these people
But
inciting violence in Cameroon coming from?
Under manipulation. Those who are under manipulation. We know the head of state talked so much about the advent of modern technology. He said this generation is the Android generation. And if we're going to go by that, I want to think that we were not ready for these Android devices. Cameroon was not yet ready because instead of using the devices for development, we're using it for defamation, character assassination, and coming out with orthodox things to crowd the hate of Cameroonians. You know, with the modern technology, the AI and all the like, people can create a hall in a space where there's nothing and give impression to a local man who is not useful to it that this is something which is going on, whereas it's just manipulation. And so most of the people who are too conversant with this, most of them are in the diaspora. We know of the Brigade Anti-Sardina that have defiled the effigies of the state, destroy state property.
But this tension, Honorable Jambeng, but this tension is not, of course, unfolding in the northwest and the southwest.
No, you cannot say so.
Are they more mature than other Cameroonians?
No. This is what I don't like. It constitutes part of divide and hate speech, which I don't like. Cameroon is one and indivisible. If there is a problem in any part of the country, it is affecting the whole Cameroon. When you start talking of this, is not in the northwest, it is not in this area, it makes it look as if it is a problem for a particular people. But if you're talking of people who are under manipulation, some have skyrocketed to another level where they go on the street for looting, property destruction and all the like. If you're looking at that, you could say, okay, property destruction were not, we didn't see some in the northwest, we didn't see them in this area, okay, fine. But you cannot tell whether there were not also some faithful, disgruntled Cameroonians in the northwest or in the southwest.
Thank you very much.
But I can tell you that northwesterners and southwesterners, Cameroonians are becoming matured politically.
Thank you.
But a greater population of the rising generation is under manipulation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Jambeng. Coming to you back, Dr. Mo Waters.
It will appear that this debate between Mo Waters and
of course, then I give you the floor. I'll come back to you. Everybody needs to say something. The time that we have, No, I'll come back.
If that's the case, then I was not supposed to be here.
That's not the issue, but you had enough time.
He punctuate people from time to time.
Now,
don't call him
Dr. Mo Waters,
I'll come back to you. Prince.
I'll come back to you. Please, I'll come back to you. Dr. Mo Waters, is very obvious that in Cameroon today, these people, some of them are unidentified. They cannot identify them. Some of them, President Pobia says, this attention are coming from people from other countries to come and incite violence in Cameroon. Do you buy this idea? Do you know some of these people, and do you think what measure do they use to incite violence in Cameroon?
People have been instrumentalized in Cameroon.
You have 1 minute, Doctor.
Issa Chiroma Bakari,
seconds is better.
One of the presidential candidates who asked people to go on street and protest, whereas he doesn't have any constitutional and moral authority to dissolve or create institution, and has not gone out on any single occasion to de-associate himself from all the killings, looting, should be held responsible. I don't need to look far. Secondly, among the Anglophones who said they are not, they call all La République du Cameroon, the Ambazonian people, they have a whole television channel that propagates Issa Chiroma Bakari and all his programs. Those are the people destroying this nation. There are people who do not have courage to take any militant party or kind of any political party, and they call themselves civil society activists, whereas even within their family nothing exists as civil society activists, and they go on air and talk irresponsibly. time has come, they must stop that. So those who are destroying this country with post-electoral violence, they are among us, they are with us, they are living with us, and they are the diaspora. And I'm begging on Minister of Territorial Administration to begin with the first one that I know because of his act. Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mowotas. I'll come to you, of course, Nufo. Of course, you come to understand that this tension, of course, is unfolding, and Cameroonians are not actually happy. You are a civil activist, civil society activist. Cameroonians are not happy. Are you happy with the situation? Where is it coming from?
Okay, before
are people Cameroonians inciting this violence?
Before
are they residing in Cameroon? Before
I answer that question, I would like to go back to the first part, because you know you have been taking all my time.
We are getting towards the end of the program.
I just want to say that for President Biya's speech to make meaning, you know, what he said in the speech was so good, but for that speech to make meaning to the lives of Cameroonians, he must put in place a team, a forward-looking team of ministers to accompany him. People who are forward-looking, people who have a vision. Secondly, there was this issue of the ENS that he talked about.
We've already done about that.
Yes, I wanted to point out that we are
talking about security issues here in Cameroon.
Talking about ENS again in that speech was not. ENS should be sent to the regional and local authorities, because according to the 2019
we are already done with that particular part of the program. We're talking about security threats, of course. Where is it coming from? Cameroonians are the one that are perpetrating this violence. You see people being burnt on daily basis, and so on and so forth. And of course, we saw the Minister of Territorial Administration back in the far north region for a visit to make sure to appease the people of that particular part of the country. These, of course, are just solutions to make sure that we are Cameroonians and we need to live in peace. But where is this tension coming from?
Okay, good. Thank you. The president in his speech said, he talked about frustration, which means that that violence is coming from deep-seated frustration that Cameroonians have built up in them for years. Putting aside the diaspora and so many other things, Cameroonians, some Cameroonians have deep-seated grievances against the system.
Okay. They want change.
So they want change. Secondly, we have the influence.
2 seconds. We are already done with the program.
We have the diaspora. We have 6 million people in the diaspora, and we know social media, the power of social media. We are in a globalized world, and anything that happens in country A can be copied here.
Solution.
The solution is for us to put in place strong democratic institutions.
Thank you very much.
If we have strong democratic institutions, we will not make ourselves bananas so that monkeys should eat us.
Thank you very much, dear panelists. Of course, it has been a wonderful day this very evening. It's your program, of course, Game of Thrones here on Info TV in Yaoundé. And thank you very much, because we've come to the end of this program. It is very obvious that at time, due to time constraint, we're not able to maybe digest all the intentions or what our panelists do have, but without reservation, we just want to believe that in the next program they will be here to air out what they do have or their contributions to make sure that Cameroon stay in peace and we continue with our development. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for more programs on the Info TV. From us, we say good night.